What an enlightening discussion and a narrative of the discussion, and a great way to kick off GatherVerse Women's Health Summit. Before we get to our next roundtable, we'd like to bring to the stage Dr. Carnes, who comes to us from a different narrative perspective when it comes to artificial intelligence. It's now time to bring you up. We're happy to be able to have you here with us, Dr. Carnes, and I hope that I'm saying that right. If I'm not, please correct me. We're happy to have you here.
Hi, Christopher. Nice to meet you, and hello, everybody. It's close enough. Marie Keynes. Close enough.
Marie Keynes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for permitting me to learn as we go. We're very happy to have you with the minutes that we have to be able to rendezvous forward. Please, if you will, before we get into this, let the world know, who are you and why have you decided to join us today?
Okay. So once again, hello, everybody. So my name is Marie Keynes, and I work at the intersection of artificial intelligence and human factors. And I have a long-standing background. Before that, I have a long-standing career in the mental health field. And as a licensed clinical psychologist, I'm so dedicated to ensuring that we build humanity into artificial intelligence, because it's going to impact all of us. It's absolutely crucial that the human side and the human factors have a voice in AI.
Let's deal with the elephant in the room. And I concur with everything you just said. What is the AI psychologist?
Okay, so I almost look at it from the other side, so to speak, because people are using AI when it comes to the mental health field. They are using it in different forms. You know, it's used in psychology settings more. AI is used more in admin sort of settings or helping with note taking. Some are mental health applications that people are using specifically for mental health. And what we're finding is that more and more people are using these AI models almost like a psychologist. They are engaging with it for that normalization, validation, that sort of level things. And more we are going to start hearing about AI companions and people going into relationships with AI systems, which is a whole new thing. So the one thing I will say is the AI psychologist, it's me. It's the human version of what we do here, because I realized in the past few years, when I started to do this, I realized the importance of human factors in psychology, all the people side of AI. And I realized it's such a crucial thing that we get psychology into how and why we build these systems, how and why we regulate these systems, and how and why we adopt or use these systems. So the AI psychologist, just to be clear, I've had all sorts of questions. I kind of jokingly call myself the human version. It is not a mental health application. It is how and why we use psychology in all of the AI field, because it's crucial. It's absolutely crucial to look at the human factors across all of AI at every single level: build, regulate, and use.
I think about the human factors on that note, and I start thinking about the cognitive fidelity of the relationship of these models themselves. We start thinking about the contextual and the environmental fidelity, perhaps even through perceptual science, to understand the relationship. That word is so resonant that you just spoke of. Let's speak to that some, Dr. Keynes, when we're talking about what relationships prospectively might we see near future, or even perhaps even today. We're interacting with, on my end, a number of different models that are so convincing that the concatenative synthesis, if you will, its speech is so compelling, and these conversations become and start to feel so authentic. What does this mean, Dr. Keynes?
And these are big conversations, and they really, we need to have them on a much larger scale. But it's really important to think it through, because I don't know how many people realize just how sophisticated these models are actually getting. So of course it started with text. We type, we ask questions, and a lot of what we're finding in these more general sort of AI day-to-day use tools is that it gives us that normalization and validation, which is some of the foundational things in a psychology settings. We talk to it, it kind of gives us some feedback, almost like a counseling sort of thing. But it's getting way more sophisticated than this. And we are looking at things like linguistic biomarkers, voice, tone, facial recognition, and emotion recognition. These systems are getting more and more sophisticated, and with that, it is definitely going to change the landscape. How we use it in psychology, in the whole mental health field, the whole health field, it is going to have massive changes. Yeah, these models are getting really sophisticated and pretty fast. Because, like you say, cognitively, it's almost like you're speaking to a human. And a lot of people are having questions, especially about the emotion side of it. That they're saying, well, actually, I feel almost understood, or I feel AI systems, the very best of it. Someone in the panel just spoke to that, said, at the very best of it, it's a tool. Having said that, they are becoming very sophisticated. But an AI system will never experience emotions like we are. It will never live it. It will never have the same lived human experiences. And these things are all really important to think about. On the other side, what I will say is what we're also finding is that a lot of people actually prefer to talk to and engage with AI systems instead of with other human beings, instead of with other people. A lot of people are giving the feedback, well, actually, they feel safer, they actually trust it more, they don't feel as exposed or vulnerable. So that's a whole different sort of, it's big societal questions. I will say these things, yeah, it's societal questions, because there's going to come a point that we're almost going to have to ask ourselves, okay, what is reality? What is my reality? What is your reality? What is the real reality, especially as these things get more sophisticated with false things, deep fakes and everything. And it's going to come to a point where we are going to ask ourselves, okay, what does it mean to be human? What literally distinguishes us from AI?
It's
What does it
deceiving.
mean to be human, and what does it mean for society and civilization as a whole?
Those are questions that should be asked, Dr. Keynes. I
Yeah.
think about your expression about the intimacy of AI versus and machine versus human. That AI will never know the scent of the sea. AI cannot procreate. AI doesn't have a grandma, if you will. I think about these things and
Like,
more about this seamless nature that you talk about, the human factor versus what's real versus what's not, but the compelling nature of concatenative and parametric synthesis of voice render. That AI can look at me, if you will, and it perhaps of what we call a theory of mind will start to understand my disposition, and at the same time of self-aware, that artificial intelligence will believe that itself has a disposition and rendered so holistically organic and hyper realistic immersive simulation. I literally can imagine very sooner rather than later you looking at me and me looking at you, and we're complete representations and extensions of virtual entities of our own selves, if you will, and that we're not even here in this discussion with the living and breathing, if you will, and with the heartbeat. I start thinking about the intimacy of this. Is this what we're looking at? And how will we detect what's real versus what's not?
and again, it's such, these are wide conversations, and it goes so broad because it's in the way we are using it and how sophisticated it's getting. And some people, already talking about almost you'll have your own AI. So it would actually be like you, and your AI would go to that meeting that you don't feel like going to. These things are going to have massive impacts, on us as individuals, on organizations, the companies we work in, and on society as a whole. And then absolutely, I'm thinking. Yeah, no, absolutely. These are big conversations that really we need to think about it. And something I keep coming back to is human connection. We so often talked about how AI is trained, how it's built and how it's trained. And but I also like to almost think how we, almost as a species, how we are built. We are social beings, and we are meant to interact with other human beings. It's a vital part of being human. And thinking, this is the Women's Health Summit. So, that good old saying, there is no health without mental health. Well, human connection is crucial for our mental health. It is such a vital part of us being human and connecting and interacting with each other. And that's something that I'm really clogging as a psychologist in longer term, that human connection, that we really keep it. And with that, I mean real and meaningful, the solid, the great human connections, but we need them. It's that thing again about, almost AI plus human, not AI versus human. We need to be we need to be a massive part of it. There's still 8 billion of us in this world, and it still needs to be at first and foremost about us as human beings. It's about how we will integrate AI into our lives, into our companies, and into society at large.
It seems to me that we're talking to our machines more so than ever before. And this to me for many reasons and more. And it's not to catapult or present GatherVerse as a panacea. It certainly isn't. But this right here, this peer-to-peer human expression and the extension of why we have GatherVerse, to me, it's the preservation of human expression. Will we have machines join us in roundtable discussions here in GatherVerse? I don't know if we'll do that. Will we only permit a heartbeat? Will it be immoral not to be able to invite these capable machines with considerations of their artificial feelings, that we would be so compelled, given how real they feel and seem, that we would want to acknowledge them? I start thinking about this in many more, and indeed it is a lot to unpack. Here with the closing minutes that we have, Dr. Keynes, can you please help me to understand something here? Let's look at it. Here we are in March 11th, here at least in the western part of the world, March 11th, 2025. And in our next roundtable, we have these experts that have come to assemble with us to talk about women's innovation of health and AI and what that means, because we need more innovators to be able to bring to the narrative of this discussion. But Dr. Keynes, help me to understand something. How soon do you believe, based on everything that you're seeing, that we'll start to see this seamless nature of human and machine interaction, where it'll be almost indiscernible to our own senses of whether I'm dealing with machine versus a human?
Gosh, Christopher, that's such a great question. And seamless would be the one where I would go, okay, question mark. But hand on heart, my answer would be sooner than we think. There are companies working day and night on very, very sophisticated stuff behind the scenes, and things that really, makes us human, the way we think and our emotions and things. They are starting to get these things very, very sophisticated. And because they use different things, and like I said, between facial recognition and emotion, motion detection and simulating things, it's getting very sophisticated very fast. I think a lot of people might be surprised and or shocked of just how big an impact AI is going to have on our lives. Yeah, that's my take on it. What I'm seeing is it's moving fast.
I appreciate the intimacy and the transparency of this narrative, this discussion. I appreciate your courage in coming out into the world and saying, being this AI psychologist, it's such a pioneer move. It's such a step forward in a direction that many people aren't headed into. We certainly welcome and value your presence of expertise. GatherVerse, go follow Dr. Keynes, explore her journey, and permit Dr. Keynes for the GatherVerse community to be able to explore with you. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the summit.
Certainly. Gather as well. And coming up next, we have a roundtable discussion of experts that are coming to assemble with us when it comes to healthcare innovations for women that can also benefit men, everyone in the world, humankind. The reason that we're having this next roundtable discussion is we need to understand what are the obstacles when it comes to getting funded for women innovations? What are the benefits for funding more women and leaders? And what is the necessity when it comes to the next steps in innovation and with the fierce urgency of now? May our gather be well.